Hello and welcome to Gaming. Now, continuing my E3 coverage, I thought I would quickly sort of blast through the Xbox conference, sort of a recap review. Now, straight off the bat, and if you saw my other video, you'll know that I'm not an Xbox guy. I don't own an Xbox console, and the last sort of Xbox stuff I played was on the 360 some years ago now, in fact. But there was a lot of cross-platform stuff announced during this show, so I'm going to focus mainly on the things that appeal to me as a PlayStation guy that was showing off here. But I will sort of talk about some of the Xbox exclusives and what I sort of gauged from what was said. So they started off with Halo Infinite. I know Halo is like the big franchise for Xbox, and it feels like it's been going on forever now. I don't really know what Infinite is. Is it like a full game? Is it like a full normal Halo, or is it something slightly different? I'm not sure, but clearly the crowd was hyped and really into that. This followed with just like a general intro, which I felt went on maybe a little bit too long. It was about between 5 and 10 minutes. They talked about sort of their charity stuff, which seems to be a big thing so far at E3 this year. I don't know if that sort of thing was as prevalent before, but they all seem very keen. All the different developers and publishers, they seem keen to talk about their charity stuff, which, you know, is only right. They're trying to push that as well as the games that they make. Next up was Ori, which looked very similar to the Rayman Origins and Legend game. I don't know much about this game either, but I thought it looked pretty cool. It had a really nice art style and not a bad little exclusive for Xbox, actually. Next thing that I saw that sort of caught my attention was From Software's samurai game called, I think, Sekiro? I think that's how you say it, I'm not sure. And that's coming next year. Seems to be a few samurai games coming out, and is that picking up a little bit of popularity? Seems that way. Of course, From Software, famous for their Bloodborne games, which I've never actually played myself, but I hear they're very good, and lots of people like them, and they're notoriously difficult as well, I've heard. We got a sort of extended Fallout 76 trailer. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I'm sure I'll cover more of that in the Bethesda presser. Apparently it's 4 times the size of Fallout 4 though, which is an interesting fact. Then we saw a game called Captain Spirit, or The Awesome Adventure of Captain Spirit, something like that. Apparently it's part of the Life is Strange universe, so I'm expecting an episodic adventure where you guide the story along. It looked quite charming, and apparently it's going to be free from June 25th. And then we got to another exclusive. Crackdown 3 was a very shouty trailer from Terry Crews. Just seemed to shout at us all the way through it. Yeah, not sure on this game, don't really know what it's about, not played any of the other ones. Doesn't seem like the sort of game that you pin all your hopes to as, you know, as a sort of console seller. We got some Metro Exodus gameplay after this, and that looked to be more above ground this time. Obviously in the previous games we have done segments above ground, but generally you were in the metro area, and it seems like they've changed that setting up a little bit. You're above ground and you're using a train to move around the terrain to different areas on the map. One of the games that I was really keen to see going into E3, so yeah, it was nice to see this little bit of gameplay. So a sort of big announcement that followed this was that Kingdom Hearts is finally coming to Xbox. Kingdom Hearts 3, I believe. The trailer was shown. We saw a little bit of gameplay as well. This had some weird audio issues. I don't know what was happening. I don't know if maybe the trailer wasn't fully complete. It sounded like some of the audio tracks were missing. Some of the special effects weren't there, so, you know, when characters were using sort of magic spells or something, there was no sound to go along with it. It seemed really odd. I don't know why that happened, but yeah, it stuck out like a sore thumb. And then another sort of flagship Xbox game, Forza Horizon 4, was announced, and it's set in England, my country, yay, where we drive on the right side of the road. And when I say the right side of the road, I mean the left hand side. So this is a shared experience game as well, so you dropped in on the map and every other player's there as well with you, which I don't really understand the point of that in a driving game. Like, normally a driving game you just go into races and stuff, right? But yeah, this one, it was kind of like an open world, well, in England, an open area in England, and you go to like events that are on the map. They drop randomly at different times, and supposedly this dynamic weather system that they've implemented every player experiences that at the exact same time. So I thought that was quite cool, and it will make the driving experience different for all the different events that you do depending on what season you're currently in. They showed off like a bunch of different seasons and situations and how the cars drive differently in that. They showed off a little bit of like communicating with other players and things of that nature. This was followed by like showing off tons of indie games. There was so many, I sort of couldn't catch them all. And then we got Shadow of Tomb Raider. I don't know if it's a timed exclusive for Xbox. I never picked that up. I know that sometimes they've managed to pull them sorts of timed exclusives off with the Tomb Raider games. I thought the graphics looked a little bit janky actually in this trailer. Some like the hair animations and stuff looked really sort of outdated. I don't know if maybe the engine that they're doing that on or whatever is getting a little bit old. I'm not sure. I haven't really got into the Tomb Raider reboot. I played the first one and I know everybody loved it, but I just wanted to play Uncharted when I was playing Tomb Raider. It's weird because Uncharted was inspired by Tomb Raider and now it feels like Tomb Raider is inspired by Uncharted. I'm sure I will get around to checking these out though. And then a skating game was announced. Now I was expecting Skate 4 to be announced in the EA press conference, but it wasn't. And then this game came on, and I thought it was Skate 4, but it's not. It's called Session. Don't know much more about it. They just showed a quick trailer for it. Then they announced Black Desert, an MMORPG, Xbox exclusive. Not really my sort of thing. Followed by Devil May Cry 5, which I think's been a long time coming. I played the remastered version or the rebooted version that came out a number of years ago now and quite enjoyed it. I'm not a big fan of hack and slash games, but I did quite enjoy it. It looked absolutely crazy though from the trailer that they showed. There was some sort of Cuphead follow-up trailer announced. I don't know if it was a full game or like a DLC, and that's coming in 2019. A game I've not had a chance to play, but I've heard a lot of good things about, and that it's very frustrating. We got another exclusive as well here, and it was called Tunic. It was like a little cute fox taking on massive enemies, kind of in like a 2.5D style. Looked a little bit similar to like Fez. The graphics for it looked like quite a cool game actually. So coming up was all the things that really stood out to me now towards the end of the press conference. We got like a collection of the famous anime characters all fighting each other, and I was like, holy shit, what is this? Apparently it's called Jump Force. And now see, I only really know like Dragon Ball Z. I was a fan of Dragon Ball Z growing up, so I spotted Goku and Frieza and people like that, but there was also Naruto was in there, and I think One Punch Man. So it looks like kind of like a cross-promotion fighting game for all the anime characters, which is pretty cool. And the graphics looked amazing for it. Definitely want to keep an eye out on. And then out of nowhere, I wasn't expecting this game, didn't even have my mind set on it, Dying Light 2. Now, I really liked Dying Light 1. Okay, the story wasn't the best, but the gameplay was brilliant, and playing with your friends especially, it was a really fun game. And I know I keep saying in all my videos how the zombie genre has kind of been and gone, but you know, if they keep making decent games around the zombie apocalypse, why not? Hopefully, like I say, the story can be a little bit better this time. We even got a little bit of a demo here on screen, which was pretty cool. There's a moral compass now in Dying Light 2, so depending on the choices you make, it'll lead to different branching paths in the game. And I think this is good because it'll increase replayability once you've completed the game. You can go back, try out different things. And then another game that really took me by surprise, Battletoads. Where did that come from? Battletoads, a really sort of old game. I think it was a Nintendo game. You could play co-op, notoriously quite difficult to play co-op as well. So yeah, all of a sudden it came out of nowhere. And I'm sure retro gaming nerds are sort of rejoicing at that, or maybe wincing. Maybe they're thinking, oh, they should have left that one in the past. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays and what it's like when it comes out. And then another game that I wasn't even thinking about, Just Cause 4, was announced. And I still haven't actually got around to playing 2 or 3. I did enjoy the first one, although I knew it sort of had its flaws. But there's no denying that Just Cause is a massively fun game to just sort of mess around in. One of those really great sandbox games. Okay, here was the best part of the show for me. So the Gears of War logo came up on screen and everybody lost their shit in the auditorium. They were thinking it was like a full game, Gears of War 5, and then out comes a Gears of War character in that sort of pop art style, you know, the toys that you can buy, the pop toys, and you could sort of hear a little bit of a groan in the audience because they realised it wasn't a full game. It was some sort of spin-off. And then they sort of carried on and they announced Gears of War Tactics, which is kind of like XCOM, you know, it's a turn-based strategy game. I thought that looked quite cool, and I could see a few people being interested in that love the series. But then they hung around on stage, the guy that was introducing this, I forget his name, and it was kind of a double bluff because then they announced Gears of War 5, they showed a trailer, and they showed some gameplay. Now that is how you announce a game. Then they finished up announcing Xbox Cloud Gaming, which is sort of similar to what EA came out with in theirs. Don't know how that's all going to work. I said it in my last video. Yeah, we'll wait and see on the cloud gaming thing. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it'll take off. But overall, yeah, really good sort of press conference from Xbox. You know, they've got their exclusives. They've got some of their big guys coming back to hopefully, you know, for you guys that like Xbox, give it a little bit more life, because they haven't really had that clout for a few years now. And they got a bunch of cross-platform stuff to announce here, which, you know, is good for them. And it was interesting for us PlayStation guys to see some of these games being announced over here at Xbox. It'd be interesting to see if any of them are also shown off in the PlayStation conference. But yeah, I think Microsoft did a really good job here. They put on a good show. It was pacey, it was snappy. You know, they just got to the point after the initial sort of intro that I thought went on a little bit too long. Certainly nowhere near the snooze fest that was the EA press conference. I think they did a really good job. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the Xbox press conference at E3. Let me know if there's anything I've missed off there that you think I should have talked about. But as I said, I'm not an Xbox guy, so, you know, I'm sort of blasted through this a little bit here. Okay, make sure to subscribe so I can talk to you guys in the next video.